ALLBALL TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.
Come all. I'm here for the bochinche. I am here for the bochinche. Seems like nobody's here with me. Bill Simmons, you son of my bitch. If you copyright claim my I'm gonna fly to LA and kick you in your gonads. Let's get right to it. Max Kellerman is back in full effect. He's been on the boxing tip. He's been pre-gaming the Crawford fights, pre-gaming this fight. But this time he's back with Stephen A. Smith, Bochinche, Chisme on the Bill Simmons show. Show your face if you in the comments. Let's get right to it. Max Kellerman is pulling no punches in his wizard Vulcan speech as if he's on Star Trek. On the Bill Simmons show, tries to break down what happened between himself, Stephen A. Smith on First Take. Bill Simmons is in full-fledged bochinche mode. You got to respect him. Let's get right to it. Baby Bubba.
We said we are going to talk about you leaving ESPN, and you weren't able to talk about a lot of stuff, and a lot of other people were talking, including people you did shows with. How frustrating was it for you to sit on the sidelines, be talked about, but not be able to talk?
That doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
You're talking about me like I'm not sweating anybody like that. But I was very flattered that, because if you go off the air, you're not sure that the sports world would care, right? But people seem to care. I was like, oh, look at that. People are thinking about me. I was very flattered by it, to tell you the truth. And in terms of the stuff that went down behind the scenes, there were things said to me in private that early on that it's not like anyone said to me, hey, this is top secret, don't repeat this. But I think there's a general understanding that if someone's talking to you in private, it's a private conversation. And I wouldn't repeat that unless they said it was okay to repeat what they told me.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't you a man's man? Max Kellerman didn't want to repeat the real bochinche from the behind the scenes at ESPN. A man's man, Max Kellerman, the boxing champion. He's the people's champion somewhat. A lot of us love him, revere him. I'm not gonna act like he's this great super analyst that everybody's sweating from First Take. They acted like he was destroying Stephen A. Smith. It's a show, but in part of my voice, I'm under the weather. But it's fun to see him back in the YouTube world now. And he is in the fight world, so he's not possibly scared of Stephen A. Smith and his shenanigans. And he's speaking now to a conversation he had at ESPN behind the scenes that he assumes, or he is just using his integrity by not divulging this information. A conversation that he had taking place backstage at First Take or ESPN. And that's where we are.
Yeah. So that's what I could tell you about, like, the behind the scenes stuff on First Take, for example. But in terms, like, I'm really not worried about that stuff,
But so Stephen A., you're in a relationship with, where you're doing a show together for how many years? 4?
5.
5 years. You're with this dude every day. Seeing him in the mornings. You do commercial breaks. You're hanging out.
Sure.
And then the show ends, or the show ends with you, and he moves on with other people. And then you know, and I should say I like Stephen A. and I've always gotten along with him. I didn't love how he handled the aftermath of you leaving, where it's basically like, I told you the show would be better. I just thought, because I think you're really talented. Now, you and I have known each other for a while. Whether
Very
it meshed
smooth.
as a show perfectly, I don't know the answer to that, but I just didn't think that was the right way to handle it.
Of course, you guys can watch this on Bill Simmons' network. He might flag this shit, but very smooth questioning by Bill Simmons. You know, I like Stephen A. Smith. I always got along with him. No beef with him. But I didn't like how he handled the scenario with you. Very good lead-up question. Max is a seasoned vet. He started off in the public access channel, which was like the YouTube world in New York back in the day. I don't know if it was all over the country, but probably in the tri-state area. He was in what we would now have as the YouTube world, where you could just post content up, pull up. It was a lot harder to do, obviously, with the camera work and the way to broadcast anything about boxing. That's what he was doing. That's what we kind of knew Max Kellerman from. And now sitting here with Bill Simmons, who in his own right came up writing and just, I don't see pioneering, but his style of sports writing, which is more fandom, and him asking the question, leading to a question with Max Kellerman, like, yo, I really don't like the way Stephen A. Smith did you. I don't like what he did. He worked with you. He was working with you. He was a partner of yours. And look what he's doing to you. How do you feel about that? See, the other guys like Jim Gray and them, they're nasty about it. Bill Simmons with a slick, sneaky Bostonian maneuver. He's not really from Boston, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. Thank you, Bill Simmons, for being a slickster.
If you're doing a debate show and you're a competitive person,
yeah,
why would you want me as a partner?
Oh, what?
That's bad. You want to go 15 rounds every day with Muhammad Kellerman? That's just bad. You know, it's embarrassing, you know.
So you think that was part of it? He didn't want to put the time in? Or like just wanted a different type of show? What's your take looking back?
I don't think it has to
later?
do with put the time in. It's, you know, it's a debate show.
You're ready to roll on all topics.
You want to like if you're, I have an idea. This is what I want to put on TV. I want to spar Bud Crawford every day for 15 rounds, and I want everyone to see it. Eventually, you're going to say, I don't want to do that anymore.
And you bring in some other people in a rotating cast.
Yeah. That's one aspect of it. There are others. In other words, that's what I could tell you from my point of view.
Yeah.
And I also think that if you make a calculation.
Oh, before that calculation. So he's saying he was so great at debating that Stephen A. Smith couldn't handle it. That's what he's saying right now. If we're going to react to this reaction here. Stephen A. Smith couldn't handle Max Kellerman as a debate partner. That's what he's saying. A lot of fans feel this way too. I don't feel that way. I feel like Stephen A. Smith just wanted the same spark that he had with Skip Bayless, regardless of how that chemistry is. You heard Fleet say the other day that we got chemistry on screen, you know, here on ALLBALL TV. You can't pay for it. You can't fix it. You know, Max in his own right did his thing. Stephen A. Smith came up in his own right doing his own thing. You just can't match two people together and get chemistry. But what he's saying is what Marcellus Wiley is saying, and a lot of other people feel that Stephen A. really couldn't handle Max Kellerman as a debate partner, especially once you get to politics and stuff like that. But, you know, the crux when these sports and when it comes to sports, I think Stephen A. played a part that was more so the wrestling aspect of just debate and, you know, barbershop talk. And it's more about being charismatic. And I don't think Max Kellerman is a super charismatic dude like that. Likeable. He's very likable, but the charisma that Stephen A. Smith comes with has way more to do with just being bombastic and, you know, controlling a mic in a wrestling ring, per se. But this is interesting that he would even go this route and talk about this.
That if you can be perceived as a solo act, really, that you can get paid at a certain level that you can't if you're not a solo act, then you'd like to be a solo act, or at least perceived that way.
Well, so like Mike and the Mad Dog are a good example of a show where it was the two of them together for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, whatever happened. Mike got his own show and he stayed on top for
Do you know who was supposed
6,
to be?
7
Do you know
years.
who we wanted to be in
Did you
Mad
get the
Dog's
call?
new position? Oh yeah, that was the plan. I was supposed to go over and work with Mike. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I got the call. Who
Oh,
else got the
wow.
call?
I don't know, but we had like come to an understanding.
So you're going to leave ESPN and do it?
I did leave ESPN.
But not to do a show with Mike.
Yeah.
You did the show with Mike?
No.
So what happened?
I think my interpretation of what happened, my analysis is, I think he realized at a certain point, they're not going to make me take a partner. Why should I take a partner? Because I'm beating the hell out of the guys across town by myself. I think when he thought they're going to make me take a partner, then it was like, okay, well, I'd like it to be with that guy. And then when it was like, I don't need a partner.
Yeah, that's too bad though, because I actually think long term he did.
So he's saying that with Mad Dog or Mike, and the Mad Dog in New York, which was like a very big. It was like first take before first take on the radio in New York. It pioneered New York as well as this debate show on CNN. Like that's what these are the things that preceded first take. You know, even PTI, and you know, for him to say that he was supposed to work with Mike and the Mad Dog, who separated from Mad Dog. I forgot what their breakup was about. It's probably with money. Or maybe they were sick of each other. Who the hell knows? But he's saying that he could have had a show with Max Kellerman, but why should I do a show with Max Kellerman if I'm already killing the competition and getting paid? Like, why would I include you and you may out debate me like you did Stephen A. Smith? Like, is that Max Kellerman? Yo, listen, Max Kellerman got an ego too, man. This guy thinks he's LeBron. He just called himself the Bud Crawford of debaters, and Bud Crawford and Floyd Mayweather got paid a lot of money, bro. They got the Stephen A. Smith check, even though you got paid to debate and get for 2 years, and you got paid to just disappear from TV. But I don't view Max Kellerman as a Bud Crawford of debating. I like Max Kellerman, but this is a little overzealous here with your opinion about yourself.
You need a partner because it's always good to have people to play off of.
Look, I don't need a partner either.
No.
But I like having one because I find conversations more interesting than just talking into the wind, you know?
So over the years, you had Brian Kenny.
Yeah. Jim Lampley, Marcellus Wiley.
Marcellus for a
I had
while.
great partners. And in fact, I've become good friends with the people I work with because I like, Bill, you know better than anybody. We're getting away with it. If you're in this business, you're getting away with it. Shh, pocket them. Shh, we're talking about sports.
Right.
And like,
you'd be doing this anyway.
Come on. It's your job as a guy, like an average American guy. It's your job to follow sports. It's like literally what you have to do. You have no choice in the matter, right? You got to find out what's going on. And so how to make that experience even better? Hang out with your friends and talk about sports, right? Like, why would you not want to do that?
Right.
It's interesting because Stephen A. was the one partner I've ever had over like years.
Yeah.
Where I didn't feel like a relationship was really forming. And I like to go to work and you know.
You could feel a little bit watching it. And it was hard to tell how much of it was theater and how much of it was like, oh, these guys just don't get along in the same way, or
whatever you feel about who you're working with and what the situation is. To me, a cardinal sin is betraying that on the air.
So there it goes right there. So Max Kellerman admits that Stephen A. Smith is a yellow belly coward. That's what he's saying. He's a yellow belly coward. You didn't like me off the air. Cool. Me and you are not going to be friends. Invited to my barbecue, invited to your barbecue, none of the above. Cool. But we still got a show to do. They paid us to get on that show, to go on television, and to make this magic work, to make something happen no matter what. But instead, because you didn't like me and it's not going however you wanted to go, you took it personal. And now you're sabotaging the whole thing. Like you're going on here and you're like making me look bad, and it was intentional. So Max Kellerman, everything everybody said was true. Stephen A. Smith was sabotaging him, and you could tell like there was a lot of friction between them on screen, and the way Stephen A. Smith would talk to Max Kellerman was just like, you know what, Max Kellerman, I would think he would punch you in the face. He doesn't seem like someone that wouldn't punch you in the face. Excuse me, but it seemed like Max Kellerman took the high road, and now he's in his, super Vulcan mode now. He's just so, I'm exquisite and I speak the King's English kind of vibes. And I don't know, man. If you have this smoke, this is what I don't like. If you got this kind of smoke for him now, where was it back then? On screen, on first take, you should have brought this same kind of smoke. This is what Stephen A. Smith was actually looking for. I think now that Max Kellerman is talking, it sounds kind of cowardly for my man Max Kellerman. Because if you had this real kind of smoke for Stephen A. Smith, you should have brought it on air, on screen, and give him what he wanted. Because that's what I think Stephen A. Smith wanted, essentially. He wanted to pull that out of you. Because now I can see it. I like Max Kellerman. He's cool. But he didn't want to get engaged in the wrestling aspect of debating, the barbershop aspect of it, for whatever reason. But they needed a blow up or two. And it seemed like Stephen A. Smith was sick of not getting it or the way he wanted to. And he was trying to embarrass Max Kellerman when Max Kellerman said, yo, I give Andre Iguodala the ball on the Golden State Warriors, which I agreed with, by the way. Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, these are guys that can get an easier shot than Steph Curry. Steph Curry is known as the greatest shooter of all time, right? But I'm giving the ball to Luka before Steph Curry in crunch time because he's a bigger guy, like just logically speaking. So you see Stephen A. on set trying to laugh at Max Kellerman with Isaiah Thomas on the same set, and Stephen A.'s always looking for a cosign. He's looking to try to make you look like that's what he was doing. He was playing the antagonist or protagonist and trying to make you look a certain way. But you should have brought this same smoke that you have right now for him on first take and way more aggressive. I don't like this passive behavior. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I'm not saying that I could have done it in real time, but it's your job to go do your job. Do your job, man. Max Kellerman, I'm not feeling this baby bubble.
Should always be thinking about making the show entertaining.
Right.
And I do think it reached the point on that show where it was like, come on, dude. We the first priority is to make good TV.
Well, good TV is like professional wrestling, right?
Right.
Both guys have moves. You guess so the other guys move.
Of course.
And I think we've all been in situations who've done this where you're with somebody who or on a bigger show where people either selling your moves or they're not.
Right. Exactly right. But he's a showman. Like he would. I never had to worry about when the little red light come on that it wouldn't be a show, but it would be like you don't want to be undermined.
Is that a fun show to do? Like, did you like doing? What was it? 2 hours a day of just.
You don't want to be undermined. See, I think that's what he messed up at. I think that's what Max Kellerman messed up at big time because he took it personal, and I think it wasn't. It can be undermining, of course, but I think Stephen A. took a lot of things personally. Also, what T.O. went on there and said, "Yo, Max Kellerman's blacker than you," and if Max Kellerman really wanted to do that show, it would have to have been in a way where it was like, can I do it this way? Because that means that he's going to undermine you, and you may feel like you're trying to undermine him by countering him, but it's just not the case. Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless have made the most ridiculous takes of all time. Stephen A. Smith is not really a basketball expert. He is often wrong. He doesn't even watch basketball. They literally caught him playing solitaire while watching an NBA game. They took a screenshot of him or a video of him playing solitaire while he's at a game. He's known to be a journalist and a reporter. This is what his credentials say. Then he thought he was being funny, and he tried to get a solitaire deal recently, that was really a scam or something like that, allegedly. And Steve and ESPN had to cancel that association with Stephen A. Smith and a bunch of ESPN dudes because Stephen A. Smith tried to make a joke out of the fact that he was playing solitaire instead of doing his damn job, which is to report on the basketball game, which he doesn't do and he never did. He's a fake ass basketball fan. He's really a groupie and he wants to be a celebrity. It's Kim Kardashian-esque, but his talent is that he undermines people, smart people, and people that think they're the Floyd Mayweather of debaters in Max Kellerman. And he said he said he doesn't want to be undermined. Also, it didn't really help that Stephen A, the way he went about reacting to the Max Kellerman firing or letting go of, he really lied. Stephen A really lied afterwards, and he said that he had nothing to do with Max Kellerman being fired. He had nothing to do with it. That's what he initially how he initially responded to Max Kellerman moving away from First Take. Then, after some time passed, Stephen A. Smith admitted that he went to the office, or when they spoke to the office, and they asked him about Max Kellerman, and there was conversations about it. He said, "Yeah, you could keep him, but I won't be around." He gave him an ultimatum. And then we're talking about someone who brags about having um, Bob Iger's phone number, who's been in a helicopter with Bob Iger on television, the owner of Disney, the owner of or CEO of Disney, who was brought back to help ESPN get back together before they lose shareholders or whatever the hell it is going on in the corporate style of things. He's close friends, or he's friends with Dana White. He helped Dana White when Dana White was involved in some domestic disputes, allegedly, that were caught on video. He helped that guy out. Why is that? Because he knew Dana White is in contract with ESPN. I think that contract is up in the air now because they're supposed to be signing a deal with CBS or whatnot. And ESPN has a deal with the NFL, which is why they don't talk too much trash about the NFL. WWF is now, which is now WWE. The wrestling thing is now with ESPN. So you'll see how Stephen A. Smith treats those guys, the power heads or the power figures of those companies of a WWE, CBS and a Dana White, the NFL. He will never undermine them, ever. He will never speak to them like he spoke to Max Kellerman on the screen, because he views them as partners for some odd reason. Listen, maybe Disney, ESPN in his contract and Stephen A's contract, he has stock options and probably has some equity in ESPN. I would have to believe that he does, but I don't think that's the smartest thing in the world, because what does that mean at the end of the day? I mean, it's free money if you sell it. Hopefully, he put it in his Roth IRA. Hopefully, he exercises them in his Roth IRA. But I digress. I don't like Max Kellerman doing it like this. I don't like him sounding like a coward. I would rather him have said, "Yo, I didn't like that style. I think, I thought I was up for the job. I could do what they did, but at the end of the day, I can't do what Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith did. It was just not, it's not my style to talk to people. I don't want to belittle you to get my point across. I'd rather just, have a conversation with people that I like to talk to, which is what we do here on ALLBALL TV, favorite perspective channel. However you found us, that's what we do. If I don't like to talk to you, don't be mad and don't get offended. And some people I really like to talk to, but we can't talk because life is life. Let's see if we got some more interesting shit to say.
5 days a week of having to react and just be like prisoner of the moment stuff.
The issue with that show is this. What is a hot take? A hot take is a counterintuitive conclusion that on TV, you're going to just state your conclusion. You do analysis about a subject. You come to a conclusion that's counter.
Wait, what? Hold on. Yeah, night goes store, bad loss tonight. A counterintuitive position. Sometimes you gotta Google stuff. Counterintuitive. A hot take is a counterintuitive. It means something is contrary to common sense or intuition. It describes ideas, actions, or findings that seem illogical or at first glance because they go against what one would normally expect. It's contrary to expectations. The results are the opposite of what is intuitively believed or expected, illogical or unreasonable. The concept seems flawed or doesn't align with what seems right or natural at first. I'm still not. So it's contrary to common sense or intuition. Contrary to common sense or intuition.
A hot take is a counterintuitive conclusion that on TV, you're going to just state your conclusion. You do analysis about a subject. You come to a conclusion that's counterintuitive. So when you say it, people will be like, what are you talking about? Give me 90 seconds. I'll explain it to you. Oh, at least he has a point of view. If there are 12 topics a day and you have 12 hot takes on those topics, because by and large, there's a consensus about sports. This guy's good. This guy's not as good. Whatever it is. This team is in the right direction, the wrong direction. Whatever it is. The consensus is usually correct, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, some small percentage of the time, in fact, what everyone thinks is not true. If you have a counterintuitive conclusion about every topic in sports every day, you are insane. Like, Skip Bayless is very entertaining, and I always enjoy my interactions with him privately.
Yeah.
He's insane, right? Like, you can't, you 12 hot takes a day? Unbelievable, right?
Right.
You've come to 12 conclusions that go against the consensus every single day that you're going to. But Stephen A has no hot takes. Stephen A almost never, I can't think of any counterintuitive conclusions that he ever reaches. That's not his job on the air. His job is to be the.
No school. I'm not feeling well, Fish. I'm under the weather. Thank you for asking. Max Kellerman is saying that Skip Bayless is the hot take king, the hot take master. And he's about to explain what Stephen A. Smith does. But look, he's basically explaining Skip Bayless's position, what he was on First Take. And now he's telling us, that's impossible to do on a normal basis. That's not who he is. And he's going to get into what Stephen A. Smith does or says. Max and Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, they all full of shit, man. That's what I'm starting to feel, Fish. Everybody's full of it, bro.
Big reactor to a counterintuitive
Counterpuncher.
Reactor. Just, he's there to hear the crazy conclusion that his partner has come to and actually be the everyman with a loud voice. Like, you are crazy, right? And do it theatrically. So there's a lot of pressure on his partner to come up with a counterintuitive conclusion about everything. Now, how do you do that? Well, you're just making it up. You're doing it for TV. No, what you do is you take a topic, and a good producer will start to drill down on the topic and say, okay, so you agree about this. So Mahomes is a great quarterback, but what does he do well and what does he not? And you keep going down until until you get a divergent opinion. Well, actually, I think he is good at this. No, I think he's good. No, actually, the most important player on that, we both think this is going to win. This team's going to win the championship. We both think this is why. Drill down. But no, actually, the key player is, other than the superstar, is this guy. No, it's that guy. Actually, Draymond Green is the second most important player on the Warriors, right? He's actually the pick and roll partner who does all the dirty work.
Victor Wembanyama is the best player in the NBA right now.
There you go. There's a counterintuitive conclusion.
Yeah.
But you keep digging until you get a divergent opinion, and there is your argument. But there was a lot of pressure on that show. Like Stephen A's opinion will not diverge into counterintuitive almost ever. So his big take will be, but he'll deliver it theatrically, is Steph Curry is the greatest shooter that God ever created. Who does not know this?
Yeah.
Everyone.
I disagree with that because there was a lot of uh things that Stephen A. Smith got in trouble for. He had to apologize or semi-apologize to Steph Curry's wife and all kind of stuff. I guess the Ray Rice after Ray Rice got caught on camera, getting into a domestic violent dispute, a DV charge. I don't know. They usually try to bleep out stuff like that on YouTube. Hopefully I don't have to do that. But again, I think Max Kellerman is just he doesn't understand that Stephen A. Smith is just there to, be bombastic in general. I don't think Stephen A. Smith is does he state the obvious a lot? Yeah. But he also, like, for instance, all ball agrees with Stephen A. Smith where if Giannis is available, you just go after him. You just do it. And a lot of people feel that way. Um, but if you are a fan of basketball or you're running a basketball team, if you're Sam Presti, do you gut a team because Giannis is available? And now you have to kind of restart the team all over again with a new coach in June. And we have Brunson and we have Giannis now on the Knicks. It's like, all right, well, we can work from there. We'll go, find some teammates for them. We don't know who we're trading. If we're trading OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and let's say Mitchell Robinson because the contracts match, for argument's sake, and then we get back Giannis and whoever else, AJ Green or something like that. I mean, if that's the case, you probably still do it because you have two superstars, and it makes sense to sell advertising and to get viewership with two stars like that. But you're losing out on depth, and you're putting so much stress on two individuals, two human beings, right? So those are the things you're weighing out, especially with the last 15 years of evidence showing you what super teams are. And we haven't really had a true super team outside of, let's say, Golden State, and then you have Miami, right? And then even with the Nets, with Harden, KD, and Kyrie, um, the Clippers really weren't a super team. But so you have Golden State, Cleveland, Golden State, Miami's run, the Heatles. Then you have the Nets run. I think these were super teams. Golden State's worked because you had three of those guys healthy, and you really had four guys. Then you still had Shaun Livingston and Andre Iguodala, the Andrew Bogus. You had these rotating players who were able to contribute. But you had three or four guys. I think Draymond worked his contract so that they can sign Kevin Durant. There's still some sacrificing somewhere. Golden State was lucky they were able to get Steph Curry on a great contract because he was injury prone early on in his career or thought to be injury prone, right? There are so many things that factor into having that super team that's way different than trading for a 30-year-old Giannis who has had some back issues, who had some injury problems in the playoffs. Jalen Brunson is 6 feet tall, and there's a lot of major hurdles to jump over just having two guys, and you want a better team in position to win a championship, especially in New York, with all the stress and all the pressure is going to be on you. When you've seen it fail in LA, you've seen it fail in Brooklyn, you've seen it fail in New York before, and they had the three guys. They had Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, and anyone can argue that they could have won a championship if they were healthy. But guess what? Harden got hurt and Kyrie got hurt in the same playoffs. And once one of them gets hurt, you're losing out on a lot, right? Both of them get hurt, you're done. As opposed to the Golden State Warriors, who again, they lost Clay and Kevin Durant in the championship. But if you would have lost just Kevin Durant, you still can compete, right? You have four guys instead of two. With this, we will be going all in for Jalen Brunson and Giannis. And if one of those guys get hurt, we're done. So the bombastic position of a Stephen A. Smith and all ball, it makes sense from a hype standpoint going to the I'm gonna go watch television and go root for this team and root for two players that really love basketball. Also, by the way, that's the other part to this, that if we're talking about basketball, it's really easy to root for a Giannis and Jalen Brunson night in, night out. But from a winning standpoint, boy, oh boy, from a winning standpoint, this is tough. It'll be tough, but there's an argument for both sides. It's not as easy as you just go get the guy. And that's what you argue about at a table with Max Kellerman. Would he have taken his time like I just did? Probably. And you got to be way more of a showman. J.J. Redick played a perfect counterpart of Stephen A. Smith because he was up there trying to make Stephen A. Smith look like a fool and had no issues doing it, which is once again why I called J.J. Redick a bitch earlier today, because you didn't call out LeBron the same way you called out Stephen A. Smith. You have so much respect for LeBron. So much respect for LeBron. He's the greatest player you ever seen, yada, yada, yada. But he is a superstar on your team who is way past his prime now, who looks like a third option like I called 2-3 years ago. And now J.J. Redick is not doing the right thing as a leader, calling him out. But you had no problems calling the number one guy out at ESPN when he was your counterpart, when it was Showtime. Well, it's Showtime over there in L.A., and he's not doing it. Kind of similar to how Max Kellerman didn't do that at First Take. You see how I tied all that together with my rambling and ranting? Fish, you in the building. I'm going to read your comments in a second.
Knows this. A counterintuitive take would be, actually, you know who the best shooter on the Warriors is? It's Klay Thompson. Because when I'm making this up, I don't believe this. I thought it was Steph. But because when you say greatest, you have to talk about high leverage moments too. And I have more confidence in Klay hitting a high leverage moment 3 than I do Steph. Something like that, right? You have to. That will never happen. So there was pressure on that show for me to keep digging until you hear something you think is crazy.
This is the perfect example of what you just said. Jalen Brunson is the best Knick of all time.
There you go. Do you believe that?
No.
Okay, then you can't say that.
It's arguable, though.
But you have to keep digging until you find the thing that Bill Simmons thinks is actually true.
But I'm saying on those shows, if I say that in a production meeting, they're like, that's amazing.
They'll go nuts. But
segment 2, let's do it.
But you should not say the thing you don't believe. You know, you should stick with, and that's, so the difficulty with me on that show was it was a lot of work to keep digging until I said the thing that I believed that would also get a reaction.
But
so then he did understand why the hell he didn't fit on the show. Like I told y'all from the beginning, he does not suit that show. That he doesn't suit that show. He's not tabloid TV. He's not a wrestler. He's not that. That's not who he is. He is more Tim Duncan than he is Kobe, right? He's more Tim Duncan than he is Kevin Garnett, than he is Giannis. He doesn't have that flair. Like I've been told y'all. He knew it in his heart of hearts. He's sitting there trying to have a real life conversation and a real eloquent and efficient and super King's English debate with Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith said, man, fuck all that, bro. What are you talking about? You think Andre Iguodala is the best shooter for the Golden State Warriors? And Max Kellerman knew it. And he took that damn check anyway, right? Fuck it. That's what you get paid for, the big bucks. You show up, he got the free check, man. But he confirmed everything I've been saying.
On top of it, they're telling you Cowboys, Lakers, Knicks, Yankees, like it's all the big teams
for good reason,
over and over again. That's the red meat.
You fish where the fish are.
Like right now, the Cowboys having a little run. It's perfect because it's actually reasonable to talk about them. I remember when I was doing Countdown, they're trying to make us lead with the Lakers all the time because that's coming from Bristol.
Of course,
lead with the Lakers again. It's like, well, can we lead with Memphis? They just traded Rudy Gay and the team's better.
I would tell you no. Do not lead with Memphis.
No, talk about Kobe, Kenny Meg, how high can they get? And then we'd have to do that segment again.
Of course.
And that's kind of the ESPN red meat philosophy.
By the way, the first thing I said on First Take that drove everyone nuts was Tom Brady's going to fall off a cliff, right?
I remember that. That made me angry.
Yeah, and well, the part that I didn't like, and I apologized about it the next day, and they didn't like it on the show when I apologized, was I said he's going to be a bum in short order. But I was just being I was talking the way you talk in a barbershop, right? I didn't really mean it. I just meant a guy, just a guy, a jag.
Just a guy. That's also where you can't say shit like that. He's a jag. What the fuck is that? Oh, he's a jag. Who the fuck? You from New York, Max? What you talking about? He's a jag. Nobody cares about that. A jag is a Jaguar car out here. That's what the fuck that is. A XJ. What's wrong with you? So he knew if I called Tom Brady a bum, he had said he had to apologize and this, that, and the third. But that's what they want to hear. It is a barbershop show. It is a barbershop show. First Take comes on at 10 in the morning. Everybody's at work. Allegedly. Allegedly. I don't even know. I wasn't even a First Take guy like that. Everything would just come on because of Twitter on social media when you caught up at lunchtime when you were at work. That's really what happened with First Take. And Skip Bayless already explained that his co-workers on set, they would be on Twitter reacting and looking at the Twitter responses, and he wouldn't care. But he knew he used it for topics and things to keep going on about because it worked, and you would see certain spikes in volume and in hashtags or whatever was related to First Take and whatever hot topics, and also the ratings, the Nielsen ratings and whatever else other systems they use over there. Obviously, they have an advantage being at Disney, ESPN, being able to utilize whatever was spiking within that time frame while being live on the air. Hey, these are the topics they're going with. Let's keep going with this. Tebow and whatnot. And Johnny Manziel. Look how many people this guy hyped up Skip Bayless for no reason. And Max Kellerman calling Tom Brady a bum, which I didn't even know. That's hilarious. Or he was gonna be a bum. Was one of his things that was going to bring his downfall as a commentator. He was too worried about looking bad, Max Kellerman. I'm not going to lie. This isn't coming off great to me. People are going to love this and eat this up because they're going to feel like Max Kellerman's getting at Stephen A. Smith and exposing him, which he is, but he's also just confirming what I've been saying. He didn't fit that show. He didn't fit that show. And he didn't like doing that show. But he likes them checks, though. He likes them checks, though. I'm going to get to the comments in a second because we still watching this stuff.
Guess what I should have said. But it was just based on every quarterback who ever lived.
Is this a defend your meme?
Yeah. Yeah. I was wrong about that because on every quarterback who ever lived after the age of 40 or 41, they fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
He kept going. The odds were that I was correct in what I was saying.
That's LeBron right now.
Right. They're
odds are
stuff.
He's just going to keep getting hurt, have small injuries, and his body's going to break down the way Karl Malone stayed once upon a time.
Correct. But when I said that about Brady, they loved it because that would get traction, right? Because you still remember it 15 years later.
Well, it's what can get cut into a social media clip, which unfortunately is a lot of the economy of these conversations.
Right. Like you say things on your podcast, I'm sure all the time, that get repurposed. And it's like, because again, if all you see is the counterintuitive conclusion and you don't have the analysis of how you got there, then you just sound crazy.
Well, a good one is like we always do the NBA over-under pods, which I've been doing since ESPN, where the wins, the over-unders.
Sure.
When you go over-under, you're hoping to, like in the NFL last year, I went 27-5, which will never happen again. All of them. You're going to go 2.
And you always come to the intuitive position. Your powers of analysis aren't very good.
You can't go crazy about it, is my point.
By the way, let me say something else about that. If you do real analysis and you always come to the intuitive position, your powers of analysis aren't very good. Right? You're overly affected by group.
You're calling about it's like you want to have a smart zag every so often.
Well, I don't think you even have to look for it. Just if you're really thinking about something. Now, if you come to that counterintuitive conclusion, you're in a room of 100 people and 99 people think you're wrong, you should absolutely double check to make sure that you believe what you think you believe, because the chances are you're wrong and they're right.
All right. Yeah. Listen, man. If you like that, go to Bill Simmons' channel. He has the whole interview there. I was watching a little bit of it before I jumped on. I loved it because they just talk about sports and basically Max Kellerman is a scientist and he wants to sit there and have a science project on live TV on a debate show. You can't do that at 10 in the morning. There ain't nobody come here at 10 in the morning to watch a Bill Nye the Science Guy, bro. I love Max Kellerman. There's a YouTube is a place for him. He obviously started on like the public access TV, like I said, but we didn't come in for all that. Let's get to these comments real quick. Fish is in the building. He ain't playing no games. No, I'm not going to school. Max and Stephen A. Max says Stephen A. Smith ain't. Oh, you said Max says Stephen A. Smith ain't ish. Basically, he undermined him, and he basically said that Stephen A. Smith sold them out on camera. Like behind the scenes, they didn't like each other, or they really weren't rocking with each other. And then Stephen A. Smith took it on the air, and he basically said, "Yo, man, shut up." He was undermining him, but I believe that Stephen A. Smith is a wrestler, and he was trying to provoke Max on camera, and Max didn't go for it. He wanted him to flip out, and Max didn't go for it. Is it the high road? Maybe, because who knows? Like Max Kellerman is in a position now where he got bread from ESPN for getting the first take gig, and now has a fan base who's gonna root for him and go, who are against Stephen A. Smith, right? It's a bunch of people that hate Stephen A. Smith. They're gonna like Max Kellerman because he looks like I don't say a victim, but he looks like a hero to them. Stephen A. Smith built his name at Winston-Salem State. He couldn't make the hoop team, so he worked for the school paper campaigning the Hall of Fame coach. Big House Gaines needs to retire. Campaigning at the whole coach. Oh, is that how he got cool with Big House Gaines? He always brags about his relationship with him. All Ball TV is a super team, but All Ball Harden doesn't shoot well in the playoffs, and Flea Durant steps over the three-point line in clutch moments. Who the hell am I? Steve Kerr or Larry Riley? Steve Smith Jr. called Jerry Judy a jag when Judy was on with the Broncos. Oh yeah. Didn't he try? They almost got into a fight on the sidelines. You know what? I take it back. If Steve Smith Senior, if Steve Smith Senior is using that word, I don't want no problems with Steve Smith Senior. Steve Smith Senior and I are the same height, but he's a football player crazy. I want nothing to do with that. Hero for Hire says Max stood 10 toes on social issues. Stephen A embarrassed us while T.O. called that out on air. I think that was part of the whole thing too, that people weren't agreeing with Stephen A. Smith in real time, during the George Floyd uh, you know, debacle. You know how the cops did all that. It's pretty simple to just say, yo, man, the cop was wrong. He belongs in jail. You can't end people out here in general. People usually just go to trial for ending others when we see it on camera, let alone being a police officer, regardless of the fact, regardless of what's going on. When you get rid of somebody, it was simple as that. And, uh, I don't know how Malcolm X would have felt about Max Kellerman, though. I'm going to tell you like that. I will say that. Malcolm X is pretty vocal about, those kind of people. Calling another black man in a pro league bona fide scrub is wild from Smith. Kwame deserved better at 19 years old. Kwame Brown was not 19 years old when he called him a bona fide scrub. That's when he was on the Lakers and he got traded from the Lakers to the Wizards. And he was just hyped that the Lakers were going to get on. Was that when they got Pau Gasol? Yeah, maybe. And that's kind of how Stephen A. Smith stayed viral for a minute on the internet, because he said he was a bona fide. That shit, like, people were imitating that and everything on TikTok. So I get it. But at the same time, he is what he is. He's gonna do things like that for the clickbait. And you're never gonna get the real truth from Stephen A. Smith. He's gonna try to spin it into something that's, front page. He's trying to run for president, bro. That's where we are in this country right now. That's how backwards we are. There's no way possible that should be a thought, but it is. I remember when Max said Brady was going to fall off a cliff. Yeah, that's what he just talked about. It did 50 minutes of this. I'm gonna go back and get some rest. Take some of this cough medicine. I am under the weather. Been getting some rest. Gonna get my orange juice. Listen to your doctors, guys. And if you got some witch doctors, listen to them too. Combine both pieces of information. You'll be straight. I don't know if we're gonna get flagged for this. And if we do, I'm gonna have to download it, edit it, and just put Max Kellerman's face up. Hopefully, Bill Simmons is not a BAN. Because if he is, I'm no longer a fan of his. And I might snuff Bill Simmons on camera just to get these ratings up. Smokey, you got to rewind this, my brother. Or head to Bill Simmons' channel. Watch it yourself. Fish says put some vodka in that OJ. No way. I don't touch vodka. Don't ever offer me vodka. If you ever offer me vodka, you are not my friend. Anyway, you know who I be. I'm here in the Fabian AI. All boy reaction. We shall be back. Click the other videos. We just did a Knicks reaction, Knicks rehab reaction to the Knicks getting their ass whooped. Go click on that. Go click on Bill Simmons' channel. Check out the whole video of Max Kellerman, man. Promoting the guy. Stay thirsty, my friends. You want some vodka? No, I don't, Molly Mall. Don't you dare offer me vodka. Fish is offering me vodka. He's a lunatic, man. ALLBALL TV. They scared, but I'm not. They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.